Secretary of the National Economic Council, Professor Lalit Samarakone, expressed the following views at a cabinet press briefing held today regarding the economic position of Sri Lanka.
This week's cabinet briefing was joined by Professor Lalit Samarakone and the Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy to explain Sri Lanka's economic position. Professor Samarakone says that the current condition of Sri Lanka's economy was not due to short-term influences.
An economic crisis is created during a time frame. Therefore, we must ask the question, during the medium term, what turn did the economy take? Compared to the end of 2014, the country's debt has increased by 49%. In 2014, the budget deficit stood at 5.7. In 2015, the deficit increased to 7.6. We did not go anywhere with the problem regarding the budget deficit of 5.4 in 2016 and 5.5 in 2017. If we stood at a certain position, that is where we stand even today. The budget deficit in the medium term is a structural issue. The balance of payment in 2014 was 2.5%. By 2018, this had increased to 2.9%. In 2004, economic growth was 5%. However, last year, after 16 years, the lowest growth was recorded. This year, we expect an economic growth of nearly 4%. This is why we say that our country is currently facing several economic issues. These issues were not created recently.
Sri Lanka's economy was impacted adversely by several incidents that took place from 2015 onwards. While the total losses incurred due to the bond scam is still not specified, economists say that the scam resulted in market interest rates to increase by 3%. The bond scam also caused heavy losses to several public funds, including the EPF, and damaging investor confidence. The national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines also incurred losses of nearly 28 billion rupees during the year 2016 and 2017. Obtaining loans at higher interest rates to fund several projects, including the Central Highway project, has also caused heavy damage to the country's economy. During July last year, Moodys Analytics downgraded Sri Lanka's credit rating. While Moodys further downgraded Sri Lanka's government's foreign currency issuer and senior unsecured ratings from B1 negative to B2 stable this week. However, the Secretary of the National Economic Council says that the downgrading does not properly reflect the country's macroeconomic fundamentals and clarified that Sri Lanka is not facing any challenges over debt repayment.
In 2019, debentures of $1.5 billion will mature. In January 2019, $1 billion must be paid, and another $500 million in April next year. The central bank's foreign reserves already include $650 million of proceeds received from the Hambantota port transaction. Additionally, we have planned to raise debentures of $1 billion in the international market through Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank and National Savings Bank. Discussions are underway to obtain a loan of $500 million from China Development Bank. This clearly shows that Sri Lanka already has the ability to raise loan finance of $2 billion in the short term. Therefore, I say to all local and foreign investors that there is no doubt on Sri Lanka's ability to repay these debentures and debit commitments. Loans are obtained as a country, not as a government. Regardless of the government in control, we are all bound by the decision of the government. We cannot surrender to Parliament because Parliament representatives change from time to time. That is why rules are imposed and we must fulfill our responsibilities adhering to these laws.
Without a budget, how can you raise foreign debt during 2019?
What is important to recognize is at this point that 650 plus the 1 billion to be raised will be sufficient to, will more than cover the sovereign bond outstanding, which is 1.5. Then the other debt, 4 billion or so, actually next year about 5.4 billion. The other part of that, about 1 billion of that actually consists of Sri Lanka development bonds which are local, can be very easily refinanced. Then the others are project loans. Most of them are project loans. And as you know, project loans are not only outflows. We receive from bilateral and multilateral sources in a given year up to about 600 million, at least $600 million we receive. So that's another source of funds that are going to be doing. in total, at the end of the day, we might have to finance externally about $2 billion during 2019 if we are going to go to market. Yes, if we are going to go to market. But there also, for that $2 billion, as I said, in a heightened refinancing environment caused by global factors, one of the most prudent thing to do is to look at alternative options. That's why Central Bank is looking to develop swap arrangements, government to government, high level, establishing credit lines and emergency sources of funding, what we call the stopgap financing or backstop financing. All these options are available. It is after exhausting those options, if we have to, we might have to go to the markets to raise some amount of money, but that can wait towards the latter part of the year.